I'm going to give a talk today, this morning, on a subject that's very important to understanding the state of the world, which is to say, the violence in Ukraine and Gaza, heralded in part from not understanding this, which goes back to the Kennedy assassination, which might seem to you trivial now. But one of the things that's going on in the TikTok war, aside from the strutting of Asian princesses that plays as an eternal commercial to the eternal crime of what was done in Gaza, is that Mick Jagger is seen in his laundry room putting on his puppet show, jogging at the age of 80, so that everybody admires the British prowess in getting laid more than they sympathize with the amputee children. Now, Mick Jagger plays a role in the Kennedy assassination that's misunderstood. And the perfect object of him almost endorsing this video by suggesting it is the meaning of the title of this video, The Best of Both Worlds. Because nobody's going to watch this video. And there's no hope that the truth will win. So why not get the last laugh this way? Is the way he figures it. He castrated an American poet, gave me Parkinson's, and has set the Mission Impossible tape to self-destruct. So I'll tell you what's going on. Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, not Oswald Mosley. Oswald Mosley was the man who Lee Harvey Oswald was chosen as a namesake for. He was leader of the British Union of Fascists, or brown shirts, or whatever they were. Friend of Ribbentrop. If you know anything about Nazi Germany, Ribbentrop was Weisler's diplomat. In the war between the states, and in the 60s, you would often see the people who made punching bags of the civil rights movement waving Confederate flags and Nazi flags. There's a reason for that. The Confederacy had its secret service in Liverpool. In the Midwest, they had something known as the Silver Legion. And of course, the silver screen was capitalized on by D.W. Griffith's KKK, who made Ronald Reagan's wartime films with all sorts of sympathy for the great dictators and symbols of pro-Nazism. The silver shirts were the American born, the brown shirts of America, the Nazis of America. And that is why Cynthia Lennon wanted to call them the Silver Beatles. The Beatles were named after Hitler's VW, the VW Beetle, the Volkswagen. Hitler gave the Beatles their name. Well, Oswald worked at a place called Jagger Stovall. Now you're going to stop me and say, that doesn't mean that they want to put everybody in stoves. See how they run from pigs like pigs from a gun. It does mean that. Stovall meant put them all in the oven. And Jagger, of course, gets his kicks from burning women and children alive in tent cities. They're camped out for tickets to his show, he thinks. And it is a reference to Jagger. The bloody racing glove on the cover of Sgt. Pepper's is a reference to blowing Mr. K's mind out in a car. It is. And it says, "Welcome the Rolling Stones." Just so it's clear what I'm saying. Now, they live in the best of both worlds for the simple reason that they advertised all this. Diamond Dogs, they say, I could have understood this. It would have been easy. How easy was it for you? DD and Diamond Dogs. And then he talks about this ain't rock and roll. This is genocide. And people didn't ask. I asked, but not many people asked, what if he's being literal? What if these are the new Nazi Germany? Or a continuation of Europe's right-wing past? They said, no, because Lenin died. Well, how that works is very cute. I took a sociology class with Andrew Cho, and he had two giggles. One of his favorite giggles was to tell the story of a rival basketball player. His brother is a basketball coach who led the team and then got in trouble because there was DNA under his fingernails. He supposedly put his hands down a girl's pants and ended up in jail and didn't get to play in the championship. And Go giggles and shows his picture with the judge who's like, hardy har har. And it was a very questionable process of conviction, and nobody really believes that it happened. Another Cho giggle is when a student says about observation towers, what business is it of anybody else's if I have sex? And Cho shrugs, but he's laughing because they make it their business. He also likes to giggle about Stanford experiments that are illegal now. Ha 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 ha. Like they don't do them anymore. If you make yourself a satire by having sex, you've crossed what's called the red line of Pope Karl's absolute conviction that you are immoral and should go to the gas chamber. And that's writ, holy writ, from Pittsburgh, active in the jurisdiction of Pierce County, Washington, and Tacoma. So this stuff of whose business is it who you have sex with? It's part of the Venus flytrap, and you're led to believe, ha ha ha, that Mick Jagger and John Lennon and David Bowie are on your side, ha 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 ha. It's a very big giggle from Mr. Cho. And you don't know what you're playing with. One of the reasons why it was possible for Robert Fripp Toon, the Pope Karl wannabe of King Crimson, to find a girl to go undercover and detonate a neuroplasm that Bernard Wattenmaker, a psychiatrist of Attica State Prison, who just happened to be living next door to me in Pittsburgh, a pit, had implanted in the queer bait, who's not going to be virile at the age of 80, so he's not Mick Jagger. Reason he could find a hottie to come undercover and go kaboom for Mr. Cho and blow the brains out, blow the mind out in the car, was because of their belief in what they were selling. That's what duplicity is. When people spy against Nazi Germany, their duplicity is justified by their belief in the meaning of what they're doing. And it's the same thing when the Nazi Germans spy on democratic countries. Their duplicity is grounded in the belief of what they're doing. By John Lennon's Houdini, the magical Houdini of Hollywood, the only live twice slipperoo, he suddenly became the victim. He got Nazis to spy on democratic countries for him and Jagger. He got the hippies and the cool people of Seattle to spy against anybody they were asked for him. He had the best of both worlds. He had Biden and he had Trump. B and T, like Breakthrough News, and it's BLT, because the L is the Houdini, the missing link. BT, where's the L? Where's the beef? The shadow knows, ha 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 ha. And that is how it operated. And they can even put Jagger Stovall, signed Oswald. And this ain't rock and roll, this is genocide. And their fourth dimensional clowniac pops out of the Trump Jack in the box and says, I'm the victim. You love me more. I'm the victim. So you're dealing with a lot of false assumptions, and you're being told that it doesn't matter. Well, Pub Carl remembers how it operates there too. You can either live immorally like Jagger and then take your chances with Allah in the end, or you can get the hell out of here now with your Aaron Bushnell guarantee of a ticket to heaven. And you're told it doesn't matter. Are you on the side of life or are you on the side of death? I'll give you another little story from these people back in Pittsburgh where they kidnapped and tortured me, which is one of the big things that these people say doesn't matter. Like King Thorles puts a death hex on me, and he compounds it with all these symbols. His Witcher Brew staff shows up, and they put in a dash of um, Tokyo Revenge, a little bit of charges of anti-Semitism by Divide and Conquer Owen Jones. You know, the red line between the gay community, the Jewish community, and the children of Gaza. And he puts all these, throws in some Bob Marley to give it sacrosanct. And he says, death hex on queerbait. It doesn't matter that he was kidnapped and tortured. Mr. Top had this old car all smoky and shadowed. Dolly Myron came. He wanted me to drive it for $50 to Louisiana for him. And Dolly Myron comes and says, my goal is to get Mr. Top fired. They were working together. She shows up with Sean Straub, who worked together with John Lennon that night at the Dakota. Dolly Myron is a Mysterian who has the headphones of Monty Python to the mindset of Seattle queers, and she knows that they are loyal to David Geffen, and they would do anything for her. If you want to know more about what Jagger Stovall means, I suggest you look at my other tapes. But one of the things that they have going is that the research community in those areas of society were often one of the most important ones, which was the May Brussels Project, was funded by Yoko Ono and John Lennon, which means you can know anything you want to about the situation except the truth. George Galloway isn't going to tell you about Lennon's Houdini black box written by Gail Carolyn Burston. He's not going to do it because he was one of the poachers who believed his whole heart that the AIDS victims had it coming. They're not like us. And the way they get around that is interesting enough. Who are you going to show your sincerity to Pope Carl for to get points from Pope Carl? All of those phantom limbs, they castrate me, right? So I know what a phantom limb is. I wish I was Mick Jagger. I wish I was Mick Jagger. And they have these children who are going to be haunted by the phantom limbs that were amputated from them their whole lives. Every